You did everything right. Degree, job, $80,000 a year, and you still check your balance like it's bad news. Here's the part nobody tells you. That's not a you problem. That's a job description problem. Your money doesn't have one. Welcome back to Smart Investing Journey, where broke ends and ownership begins. If you're new here, I'm Marcus, and this channel exists for one reason: to take the shame out of money and put a system in its place. Not motivation, not guilt, a system. Today we're talking about the specific, quiet, invisible reason good income doesn't always feel like good money. Let's start here. You are not lazy. You are not bad with money. You did the thing everyone told you to do. You got the degree, or you skipped it and built a skill instead. You got the job. You hit $80,000 a year, which statistically puts you ahead of most of your peers. And somehow, on a random Tuesday, you open your banking app and your stomach drops. Not because there's nothing there, because there's less than there should be. Less than you earned, less than you worked for. Here's the thing nobody says out loud. Income and security are not the same thing. You can have one without the other. In fact, at $80,000, it's easier to have income without security than it was at 40. Because at 40, everything was tight enough that you had to pay attention. At 80, there's just enough slack to stop paying attention. And that slack is exactly where the leak happens. Today, I'm giving you the framework that explains why this happens and exactly what to do about it. It's called the Paycheck Job Description. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let's name the first piece of this. I call it the achievement trap. Here's how it works. From the time you were a kid, you were taught a sequence. Get good grades and good things happen. Get the degree and good things happen. Get the job, get the raise, get the title, and good things happen. Your whole life has been a series of checkpoints where effort produced a feeling of arrival. So when you hit $80,000 a year, your brain expects the same thing. It expects the feeling of security to just show up automatically, like a reward that was owed to you. But security isn't a reward for income. Security is a structure you build on top of income. Nobody tells you that part. They tell you to chase the number. Nobody tells you the number doesn't come with instructions. Now, hold on, because this is where most people get it backwards. They think, if I just made more, this feeling would go away. So they chase a raise. They pick up a side hustle. They grind for a promotion. And when they get it, when they hit 90 or 100, the feeling doesn't go away. It just moves, because the feeling was never about the amount. It was about the absence of a system. Think about Jordan, 28 years old, marketing coordinator, $81,000 a year, no kids, modest one-bedroom. On paper, Jordan is doing great. But Jordan has never once sat down and decided in advance what each paycheck is for. Jordan just spends until it feels wrong, then pulls back until the next check hits. That's not a spending problem. That's an undirected income problem. And undirected income, no matter the size, produces the exact same anxiety as not having enough, because functionally, it behaves the same way. Second piece. Lifestyle creep doesn't announce itself. It doesn't send you a notification. It just happens in step with your paycheck. So it never feels like a decision. It feels like life. Here's what most people get wrong about lifestyle creep. They picture some dramatic moment, buying a car they can't afford, signing a lease that's too big, but that's not how it usually happens at $80,000. It's smaller than that. It's the difference between a coffee at home and a coffee you buy because you're treating yourself after a hard week every week. It's upgrading from the value grocery brand to the premium one aisle at a time over 18 months until your grocery bill is 40% higher and you never notice the climb. Different paycheck, different spending habits, different baseline for what feels normal, and none of it got a vote. That's the trap. Your standard of living rises exactly as fast as your income does, which means the gap between what you earn and what you feel secure about never closes. It just moves up together, forever, like two lines on a graph that never converge. Here's a number that should bother you. If your expenses rise at the same rate as your income, even if you're saving something, your savings rate as a percentage of income can stay completely flat for a decade. You can get 4 raises and still feel exactly as broke as the day you started because the raises got spent before you ever consciously decided to spend them. Now hold on, because I want you to actually do something before we go further. Comment the word leak below if any part of this is hitting a little too close. I want to see how many of you are living this right now, because I promise you it's more than you think. Now let's get into the fix. Third piece, phantom spending. These are the costs that have gone quiet in your brain. Subscriptions, small recurring charges, the $11 here, the $15 there, that don't register as decisions anymore because you made the decision once, months or years ago, and then never revisited it. Here's what most people get wrong about phantom spending. They think the fix is a spreadsheet audit where you canceled 3 streaming services and call it a day. That helps, but it's not the real problem. The real problem is that phantom spending is a symptom of a paycheck with no job description. If every dollar had an assigned role the moment it arrived, phantom spending couldn't survive because there'd be no unassigned dollars left for it to hide in. Let's do the case study. Priya, 29, software support specialist, $78,000 a year. Priya did a phantom spending audit and found $640 a year in subscriptions she forgot she had. That's real. That's worth fixing. But Priya's actual gap wasn't $640. It was $4,000 a year of unassigned income that just evaporated into life, with no name attached to it. The subscriptions were a symptom. The missing job description was the disease. So here's the framework, the Paycheck Job Description. This is simple, and that's the point. The moment your paycheck lands, not at the end of the month, not whenever you get around to it, every single dollar gets assigned a role. Not a vague role, a specific one. Here's how it breaks down. First, your non-negotiables. Rent, minimum debt payments, essential bills. These get named and funded first automatically. Second, your future self-allocation. Retirement, investing, an actual number, not a whatever's left. Third, your buffer, a small protected amount that exists purely to absorb the unexpected, so a flat tire doesn't become a crisis. Fourth, and this is the one people skip, your guilt-free spending. Yes, guilt-free, a specific named amount that is yours to enjoy with zero shame because you already gave everything else a job. Different framework, different mindset, different result. That's what happens when every dollar has a title before it has a chance to disappear. Here's why this works psychologically. Willpower fails at $80,000 specifically because you have enough to rationalize almost anything. At $40,000, scarcity does the disciplining for you. There's no room to rationalize a $40 dinner because the math simply doesn't work. At 80, the math does work in the moment every single time. I can afford this becomes true for almost every individual purchase. The only thing that stops the slow bleed is a system that decided in advance, not a feeling that has to fight in the moment. One tactical tool inside the system is a 24-hour rule. Any non-essential purchase over $50 waits 24 hours before you buy it. Not because you can't afford it, you probably can, but because this rule separates a decision from an impulse. And at $80,000, impulse is the enemy, not affordability. Here's what most people get wrong about the 24-hour rule. They think it's about deprivation. It's not. About 70% of the time, after 24 hours, people still buy the thing. That's fine. That's guilt-free spending doing its job. The other 30% of the time, the urge fades completely, and that's the money that used to disappear without you ever noticing it left. Now here's where it gets real. This isn't actually about money. It's about identity. If you grew up with less, I can finally afford this carries weight that has nothing to do with the price tag. It carries relief. It carries proof. It says, I made it. I'm not that kid anymore. I don't have to say no to myself. And that feeling is valid. I'm not here to shame it out of you, but an unexamined feeling with no boundary around it will spend your entire paycheck one justified purchase at a time, and you will still feel broke at the end of it, because the purchases were never actually about the things. They were about proving something no purchase can actually prove. You will never out-discipline that feeling. You have to build a system that honors it and contains it. That's what the job description does. It gives your guilt-free spending a real, named amount, so the relief is still there, but it has a ceiling instead of a bottomless need. Let's bring this together. You make $80,000. That is not the problem. The problem is that your income has been operating with no job description, which means lifestyle creep rises invisibly, phantom spending hides in the gaps, and every purchase has to fight your willpower one at a time. A fight willpower eventually loses every time, because at this income level, you can almost always justify the yes. The fix isn't a raise. The fix isn't a stricter budget you'll abandon in 3 weeks. The fix is this. The moment your paycheck lands, every dollar gets a name. Non-negotiables, future self, buffer, guilt-free. Assigned before you have the chance to feel anything about it. 90 days from now, if you actually run this, here's what changes. You stop checking your balance with dread because you already know what's supposed to be there. You stop having the "where did it all go" conversation with yourself at the end of the month because nothing is unassigned anymore. And the guilt around spending, the thing that's been quietly exhausting you for years, starts to disappear because you're not guessing anymore. You're not white-knuckling. You're following a plan you already trust. This pairs directly with the 6-flow system we built a few videos back. That's the how, the actual mechanics of automating these buckets so you never have to manually move a dollar again. If you haven't watched that one, go do it right after this, because the job description tells your money what to do, and the 6-flow system is what makes it happen automatically, every single time, without you lifting a finger. Here's what I need you to walk away with. You are not broke. You are never broke. You are undirected. And undirected income at $80,000 will always feel like scarcity, because scarcity was never really about the number, it was always about the absence of a plan. Motivation is a lie. Discipline is overrated. Repetition builds wealth, and repetition only works when every dollar already knows its job before you have to think about it. Where broke ends and ownership begins is not a number on a paycheck. It's the moment you stop asking your money to behave and start telling it what to do. If this hits something in you, hit subscribe, because this channel is where the wake-up calls live. Next video, we're breaking down the exact 90-day rollout for the Paycheck Job Description, step by step. So you're not just nodding along, you're actually running it. I'll see you there.